جزاك الله خير. ما في أسئلة يا أبو أنس؟ الله خلاص.
Then I will ask you
Sakallah, Dr. Arzu. Now to the second part, there's a third part, fourth, fifth, and sixth, and seventh part. It's going to be a long night. The guys were here yesterday until 1 a.m. Actually, today until 1 a.m. So, no, we're not saying that you're going to be here until 1 a.m. Alright, I'm going to share with you a story. Now, this is it's a story. It's called The Race. Once upon a time, there was a dysfunctional rowing team. This dysfunctional rowing team, they wanted to have a race with another team. They wanted to challenge them. The other team was a functional team, so the dysfunctional team went to the functional team and challenged them to a rowing race. Both teams, the dysfunctional team and the functional team, they both worked very, very, very hard for them to win the race at the end of the year. So they had 1 or 2 years, whatever. So they wanted to win the race, obviously. So they wanted to be in the best shape. They wanted to beat the other team, etc., etc. When they had the race, the dysfunctional team lost the race by 1 mile. The dysfunctional team lost the race by 1 mile. Now obviously the dysfunctional team wanted to find out why they lost the race. Why we spent so much money, so much resources, so much effort, so much training, so much, and we still lost the race. Now obviously this is a very good question for them to ask. It's very legitimate for them to ask this question. So after they lost the race, they asked top management what we should do. Remember what Abu Ali, Sheikh Hassan was talking about in the khutbah yesterday? That we always seek answers from other people where the answers actually lie within. So they asked upper management, what should we do, Mr. Upper Management? Because what we want to do is win the race next time. Well, we lost the race this year, and next year we want to win the race. So upper management established a team of analysts for them to review where we went wrong, why we lost the race, so we wouldn't repeat what we have done wrong, so we can win the race next year. And this is what the analysts look like. See the magnifying glasses? They're looking like Sherlock Holmes, looking for the truth, looking for the mistakes that they've done, why we lost the race. After several detailed analysis, the expert analysts that were hired by the management team and they were paid a ton of money, found that there is a problem with the dysfunctional team makeup, the way it's structured. The functional team consisted of 7 rowers. No, sorry, the functional team was 7 rowers and 1 captain, and this is what it looks like. See, you've got 7 people who are rowing, and there's only 1 person who is the captain. You can call that the leader. The person who has the little device and tell him row, 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 row. And the 7 rowers were doing what he was telling them to do. The dysfunctional team, it was found out that they had the opposite. This is what they looked like. They had only 1 person rowing and 7 leaders. They had 7 leaders in 1 ship and only 1 person rowing. Quite honestly, if you look at both teams, I am very, very, very satisfied and very happy that this team here lost only by 1 mile. Think about it. There was only 1 person rowing on this team, and on the other team they had 7, and they lost by 1 mile only. Now if this person, the rower, was by himself in the boat, he could have possibly won the race by himself against the other team that consisted of 8 people, 7 of which were rowing. That was the problem with the team, the dysfunctional team. See this poor guy right here? Amazing. 7 people telling him, giving him orders, yelling at him, screaming, row, 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 row your boat gently. Next slide, please. Facing such critical scenario, the top management showed unexpected wisdom. Quite honestly, I don't know where this unexpected wisdom came from, because to begin with, having 7 leaders or 7 people yelling and screaming on one person to row, that is no wisdom whatsoever. So I don't know where they came up with this unexpected wisdom. They hired a consulting company. Wow. So they hired a team of analysts and paid them a ton of money initially to discover what they should have known all along, that the team, their dysfunctional team, was structured wrong. So they hired a consulting company to restructure their team. Wow. Lots of consulting, lots of work, lots of hard work. A ton of money paid to the consulting company to figure something out that is very, very, very common sense. After several months of tedious analysis, the consultants concluded that there were too many captains. There were too many leaders. In street terminology, we say, duh. I mean, come on, we got 7 leaders on one person rowing, and now you discover after months and months of analysis and consulting and working hard. So they had way too many captains and too few rowers on their dysfunctional team. Therefore, structure of the team, it must be changed. Okay, great. So they figured out that they had the wrong structure for this team, and now we must have the right structure for the team. Correct? This is a good start. So as of today, there's going to be 4 captains, not 7 captains, and we're going to have 2 managers and 1 top manager, still having 1 rower. And this is what it looks like. So you've got the captain, the leader, all the way to the top, with that long, I don't know what he's doing with it, and then you've got 2 upper management telling 4 captains to scream at this still 1 rower. Row, row, row. Honestly, I think the previous structure was even better than this structure. You know why? Anyone knows why? Why is the previous structure better than this structure? Think about it. Any managers here? Business people?
There were 7 against 1 at one time. Now there's 2 different levels of one against 1.
Right. You had one level of management screaming at the rower directly, telling him, row. So he was receiving the orders immediately from management, from captains. Now, the orders have to be passed on from the top management or the executive branch to the upper management branch, to the middle management branch, to the rower. How long is that going to take? Do you think they won the race or they lost the race? They won the race? Man, you should never be consulted in these matters. They won the race or they lost the race? They lost the race by
2 miles.
2 miles.
1.5.
Okay, so the next year they had a race and they lost by 2 miles. Obviously, upper management is going to be furious. We hired analysts. We hired experts. We brought in the people who know. We paid a ton of money. We did. Even more so than we did the first year that we lost by 1 mile. So now we lose by 2 miles? Are you kidding me? What happened? The dysfunctional team immediately and dishonorably discharged the rower. Why? Due to his incompetent and unsatisfactory performance. It was his fault. That poor guy who was rowing the boat by himself, it was his fault why the race was lost twice. It was his fault. A bonus award was paid to the management for the strong motivation the team showed during the preparation phase. We gave them a bonus. For what? For losing the race? How does that work? The guy who's doing all the hard work gets fired. And the management gets rewarded. Why? Because they gave a lot of motivation. Yes, they were screaming and yelling at the top of their lungs. They were motivating this poor guy all the way from beginning to the finish of the race, even though they lost the race. It was his fault. And they got that bonus. The consulting company prepared a new analysis boasting the strategy. Of course. Why would the consulting company even admit to their mistake or their fault? Because we prepared those analysis and we gave out the consulting, this is what you guys should do. Instead of 7 captains, you should have 4 captains, 2 managers, and 1 leader. We gave you this, and because you lost the race, it wasn't our fault or your fault, the management, it was this guy's fault, the poor rower. So they boasted the strategy, and it was good, and the motivation was great, it was awesome. However, the instruments, they need to be, we gotta do something about the boats. So currently the dysfunctional team is designing a new boat. What a story.
It's like Royal Jordan.
Sounds like the story of our lives. Everywhere we look, it's that poor guy, the little guy at the bottom, the front line people who do the hard work. They're the ones who get crushed. Middle management, they get rewards. And executive management, they get what we refer to in academia and in the business world as golden parachutes. There was this one guy, and I'm not going to mention his name, who worked for this company, and I'm not going to mention its name. He pretty much drove this company to the ground and caused it to lose millions and millions of dollars. However, he got a bonus reward of in excess of $200 million. I really have no idea why he got that money.
With Fargo, man? With Fargo?
I don't know. I can't, it's a true story, but I just don't want to mention his name. So, leadership, when we talk about the right person in the right position, the right people in the right positions, are we doing this right here? I mean, if we look at the structure of the team, our dysfunctional team, and we see that we have 7 captains, we have so many leaders that it's impossible for anyone. Everyone is a leader. If everyone is the leader, who's doing the actual work? If everyone is directing others to do, and everyone is a leader, who is being directed to do whatever needs to be done? And who's doing the work? Why is this so important for some people? They dwell on the idea that I must be the leader. I am the leader. I know best. I know everything. It's me. I can make it. And if it's not me in that position, it's going to break. When we ask consulting companies, are we asking honorable and legitimate and honest consulting companies to solve our problems? I'll give you a joke. And quite honestly, I don't know if it's a true joke, it really happened, or it didn't. However, it's quite funny how it happened, if it did happen. In Saudi Arabia, if you've been to Hajj, one of the first things you're going to start thinking about, oh my God, it is so congested. You can barely move. I mean, the bus, it takes a whole hour to cross a distance of 1 kilometer. I mean, what kind of solutions can we come up with? So the joke is this. The Saudi government, they called in a Japanese consulting firm to help them solve the problem of the congestion in Hajj. Right? So the Japanese firm, they advised the Saudi government to hold Hajj 4 times a year. I don't know how much they got paid for that. I mean, quite honestly, that's a very good solution. Unfortunately, it's not applicable to Hajj, because Hajj is once a year. I mean, you know what? They could have paid me 10% of what they pay the Japanese government, and I would have suggested to make it once a week. But it doesn't work. Hajj is only once a year. If you're going to consult someone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people who are the experts. And to me, who are the experts in Hajj? The people who perform Hajj. They know better than anyone how to solve the Hajj problems. We need to ask the right people for the answer. Now, Dr. Arzujzallah Khair, when he gave the presentation about the flu, we asked him all sorts of questions about, should I take this, should I take that, what is the effect of this, okay, he's the expert on things that have to do with medicine. If you ask me, I'll probably tell you, you know what, take NyQuil, it'll cure everything. But that's wrong, right? This is what he just said. NyQuil cannot cure the flu. But to me, I would tell you, take NyQuil because I don't know any better. Now, I should know better to tell you, I don't know. I should be honest and say, I don't know. If you don't know, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. If you don't know, it is a major problem if we act as if we don't know and knowing that we don't know. And there's a very, very, very good statement I read in the book. The more we learn about something, the more we find out how much we don't know about what we think we know. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. So they hired, I don't know exactly what to call this management, incompetent management, and the incompetent management brought in incompetent analysts, and the incompetent management brought in an incompetent consulting firm, so eventually give me the money because I did a great job. Fire this idiot because he did a bad job. Give me a bonus, and give yourselves a bonus as well, and give yourselves a round of applause. You should be very proud that you are running this company. We say that. We'll give you a certificate of accomplishment, a certificate of excellence, as long as you give us the money. And in the end, we say, let's go make a new boat. We never say to them that your structure is wrong. You don't need 7 captains, you need only 1. And nowadays, we don't even need a captain. We have something called teams, and each team would have a team leader. And even in teams nowadays, we have something called shura. It's not called shura, but it's called shura, in the sense that this is what they do. They consult and they talk and they exchange ideas and they discuss, and then eventually they all emerge with one consensus. This is what we want to do. Isn't this what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran? وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَ بَيْنَهُمْ? That they consult, they get advice from each other, they discuss. This presentation, by the way, was made by, I think, someone or a group of people in Saudi Aramco, one of the largest oil company in the world and one of the best run companies in Saudi. And if somebody made this presentation from Saudi, possibly about Saudi Aramco,
There is a chaos in that company.
okay, it's what, 8 o'clock, 8:10? I have another presentation if you want to sit here for a few hours. Okay, let's take a vote. Dinner or more academia?
Dinner. No more academia. No more academia. Dinner.
Dinner first? Okay, let's go to...
We're not coming back.
I have a lot of presentations that I can share with you, a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, and accumulated tons and tons and tons of presentations that I can share with the community. And inshallah, I'll share more of these. Now, not just stories.
Wouldn't that be a good idea to comment from the people on what you...
Okay, so we'll open the floor for about 5 minutes only discussion about what you've just... Can you give us some light, please? Okay, any questions, comments, feedback? Yes.
Based on your story, is this something happening in Florida that you want to bring the attention to some people to this story because they don't?
Is this something that's happening in Florida or in South Florida or in the masjid?
And the masjid.
Is it happening? It could be in a subtle way.
But I rephrase that.
Yes.
Is it happening in the United States? About this?
Sure. That's corporate America.
You know, I would love to answer this question, but we have to shut down the video because I'm not going to self-incriminate myself in anything that I say.
No.
It's happening everywhere.
Yes.
It's happening everywhere. I'll give you an example. Donald J. Trump, and I don't know what J stands for, but O.J. Simpson, nobody cared what J stood for, or Homer J. Simpson. Donald Trump He's a billionaire. He thinks just because he has the know-how, and I don't know exactly what that know-how is, just because he has the know-how of how to build a corporation and make billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? He thinks he can do the same thing in the United States of America as a president. Now, is that true? I mean, these are two different, they're two different entities, two different organizations, two different games. But he says it's only I who can fix it. Only I who knows how to fix it. And if it's not me, she's going to ruin it, or he's going to ruin it, or they're going to ruin it. It's me. Is it happening? Of course it's happening in the US. Is it happening in our masjid? There are some people who believe that only them, only they know how to run things right. The thing is, once they know why it's not run the way they think it should be run, they say, oh, I didn't know. A lot of times we build our decisions, or we build our thinking on fallacies, on things that don't exist. We don't know, so we think we know, so we build our imagination on the things that we don't know, and then we arrive at conclusions, we believe them because we thought of them, right? Everything that we think is right, right? Everything we. If I think it, it must be right, right?
No.
Well, based
No,
on,
it's not.
based on your story, if that group, in principle, were people that really mean business and really with the good intentions, I mean, that should not have happened.
Putting the right people in the right position. If you want to know something about physics, would you ask somebody who was a marketing major?
No.
No. Why? Because the person who knows about marketing knows about marketing. Could possibly know about physics, but not necessarily. More likely than not, he or she will not know about physics. So you're supposed to ask the right person to get the right answer. You're supposed to hire the right person for the position to get the right results. And if we don't do that, then everything, possibly everything, potentially everything, virtually everything they will do will be wrong. Because you put the wrong people in the wrong positions. I'll give you another cute story. This is not just a story, it's a true story. No mentions of names, no mentions of companies, but this one executive in this very, very powerful company, and this guy was, boy, he was powerful. He wouldn't hire anyone in a position that is related to the field that they studied. If you're a mechanical engineer, you'd be doing something like in the chemical engineer company. Now, I know some of you are engineers, so you're thinking like, how stupid is that, right? I'm a mechanical engineer. What do I know about chemical engineering? Right? And he boasted about this. He was very proud. He even gave a presentation why he would do something like this. He said about 40 years ago, when I came into this company, as I think he was a mechanical engineer, he was given the job of a civil engineer. So he said, but I'm a mechanical engineer, why would you put me in the civil engineering job? And the guy said, just go do it. Gave him like only 30 seconds of his time, just go to your post. And he did. He said a week later, he went back to this boss and submitted his resignation. Reason? I mean, you're asking me to do a civil engineering job and I'm a mechanical engineer. It just doesn't work this way. So this is my resignation. So this time, the boss, he gave him 2 minutes of his time. And he said, if you stick to this job, one day you're going to pass by this building and you're going to be proud that you built it. And this is what he's trying to sell everyone, that when he passes by this building that was built about 40 years ago, that he built it. He actually is convinced that he built, as a mechanical engineer, that he actually built something that has to do with civil engineering. So this is why he doesn't hire anyone based on their degree. If you are a chemical engineer, he'll put you in the marketing department. If you're in a marketing major, he'll put you in the accounting department. And that's supposed to be healthy for the organization. Well, based on academia and based on logic, it's not. But there are people who do exactly that. In Islam, we know that al-aqrabuna awla bil ma'ruf. If you're going to hire somebody in your company, Who would you hire? Your brother or a stranger?
Depends on the qualification.
Exactly. Well, let's go with the qualifications first. If both of them are exactly qualified, both of them are, have the same qualifications for this position, I would go with my brother, right? Yes? What if my brother is not qualified? Would I hire him? You'll be making a dumb mistake. Okay, let me say it slowly. You would be making a very dumb mistake. If you're gonna hire your brother just because he's your brother, I mean, this defies all logic.
Both be out of job.
He put both of you out of a job. He ruined the company, you close down the company, then you'll be out of a job. Why? Just because he's your brother? It doesn't work this way. We need to get the qualified people in the right position so we can move forward with whatever it is that we need to move forward with. That's just simple logic. I didn't come up with this and learned it from somewhere. It is just simple logic. Any other questions before we go to dinner?
What's the difference
When
between
we
private?
go to dinner,
You said
See, when I mention dinner, nobody has any questions.
that's the difference between a private and a public sector, right there.
Private and public?
Yes. In a private sector, when you hire your brother and he's disqualified, or you hire your cousin or whatever it is, you would lose. In a public sector, you will not. You will lose other people's money. But
Define public sector.
Well, government sector is involved. Like Trump. Trump is trying to do private on the government. That's not going to work.
Have you heard of something called sovereign immunity? Sovereign immunity? Okay. The government, you cannot sue the government because the government is a government, and the government is not engaged in any type of commercial activities, right? That's a bunch of nonsense. When they came up with this about 2 million years ago, it was true. Now the government is running every business in this country. The government is engaged in all kinds of commercial activities. So if we're talking commercial, is this supposed to be private? Because the government is not supposed to be engaged in it? Right? So what is this? Where is the thin line between private and public? Where is it? It doesn't exist anymore. It is a wide gray area. I mean, the government says we're not engaged in...
The public area, you get money for free. The money replenishes with the tax.
He's talking things
On
like
a private, you don't.
he's talking
It's
like
totally different kind of business.
like General Motors, like Ford. These are public companies. They are publicly traded on the stock exchange. They lose money left and right. It's not their money. It's not the Ford people. It's not the Ford family anymore. But Chrysler was privately owned. I don't know if they're still privately owned or not. They went off the stock market. You can't buy their stocks. So Chrysler, the actual owner, is going to lose if Chrysler goes bankrupt. It's that kind of a business.
Yeah, but the government's business, when I mean public, it's a government's business. Like cities and counties and states and all that.
Well, they just levy more
You
taxes
see,
and
you
they
come in with a
compensate.
private, with a business mind to run them as a business, that you can't. Because they do not run as a business. Because their money replenishes every year. Doesn't matter.
They voted for Trump.
Exactly.
depends which company you're talking about.
So I guess Seymour is telling us we should all go work for public, for the government, because you will always have a job even if you lose money. Alright, Jazakumullah khair for coming tonight. Inshallah you've learned something, and we'll do this inshallah every third Saturday of every month. Community night. It doesn't mean that we don't have anything else another Saturday. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.